Once upon a time, before social media, before hashtags, there was Hollywood's golden pair, Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise, two megastars who made red carpets shimmer, magazine covers sell, and fans believed that fairy tales could survive fame. Their love began like a movie, literally. On the set of Days of Thunder in 1990, Nicole was the 23-year-old Australian newcomer, fresh-faced and fearless. Tom Cruise was already one of the biggest stars in the world. Top Gun, Rain Man, born on the 4th of July. He was box office royalty. She was the mystery everyone wanted to know. And in the glow of that Hollywood magic, sparks flew instantly. Within months, Tom ended his marriage to actress Mimi Rogers, and Nicole stepped into a world of luxury, religion, and relentless fame. To the public, they were perfection. Her statuesque elegance beside his movie star charisma, the power couple that made every premiere look like a coronation. They weren't just acting in love. They were selling it. But behind the glitter, a quiet storm was brewing. Because in Hollywood, no fairy tale comes without a price. And this one had 7 very big secrets. When Nicole and Tom said "I do" on Christmas Eve 1990 in Telluride, Colorado, it wasn't just a wedding. It was a global media event. She wore a simple, timeless gown. He, a confident smile that said he'd just won the universe. They starred together in Far and Away, 1992, Eyes Wide Shut, 1999, and became the ultimate on-screen, off-screen couple, the cinematic definition of love and ambition. In interviews, Nicole called Tom my everything. He called her my soulmate. But insiders later revealed that Tom's version of love came with rules. From public image to private habits, nothing was unplanned. Their homes, their staff, their friends, all filtered through his inner circle, many of whom were linked to the Church of Scientology. Still, Nicole smiled through it all. She was young, in love, and enchanted by the magnitude of it. The private jets, the premieres, the global spotlight. They adopted 2 children, Connor and Isabella, and for a time, it looked like they had it all: fame, family, and faith. But perfection is heavy. And when it starts to crack, it shatters loud. As one of Nicole's close friends later put it, she was living in a dream, only to realize she didn't write the script. At first, Nicole didn't understand how deep Scientology's influence ran in Tom's life. The church wasn't just his belief, it was his universe. Tom had become one of Scientology's most powerful public faces, personally groomed by founder L. Ron Hubbard's successor, David Miscavige. For Nicole, an outsider and a devout Catholic, that world felt alien. She reportedly tried to keep the peace, attending events, meeting church officials, even consulting their counselors. But behind closed doors, the pressure was mounting. Former Scientologists would later claim that the church viewed Nicole as a suppressive person, a spiritual threat who might pull Tom away. One ex-member told the Daily Beast they thought she had too much influence, that she could make Tom question the church. And that's when the control began. Phone calls screened. Household staff replaced by Scientology volunteers. Children's education handled by church tutors. Nicole's independence slowly erased. Even her friends noticed a change. She grew quieter, more reserved. Her once bubbly personality replaced with polite distance. When she spoke about Tom, it was always with caution, almost rehearsed. Because in that world, even love had surveillance. Nicole later admitted she felt lonely during those years, even though the world saw her as the luckiest woman alive. And while she rarely speaks about Scientology today, insiders agree that silent tug-of-war between her faith and Tom's church was the invisible crack that began to split the marriage long before the world knew. When Nicole and Tom adopted Connor and Isabella, they were a picture of domestic perfection. 2 megastars raising children quietly, privately, away from the noise. Nicole adored them. She once said, "Nothing makes me happier than being their mother." But when the marriage collapsed, so did that bond. Tom filed for divorce in February 2001 without warning. Nicole later revealed she was blindsided. "I thought our life together was perfect," she told Vanity Fair. "It took me a very long time to heal." Within weeks, Tom was seen attending Church of Scientology events, and the children were with him. What followed was one of Hollywood's most haunting custody battles, though it was never fought in court. It was fought in silence. Connor and Isabella were reportedly placed under the church's care and guidance, and Nicole, labeled a suppressive person, was gradually cut off. Over the years, Fans noticed the growing distance. Connor and Isabella stopped appearing with her publicly. They didn't attend her wedding to Keith Urban in 2006. When asked about their relationship, Nicole always stayed graceful, saying she respected their choices. But her eyes told a different story. "They're adults," she said once. "They have made their own decisions. And as a mother, that's painful. But it's love." That quiet heartbreak, the loss of her children, the years of distance, became the emotional scar Nicole carried long after the cameras moved on. It wasn't just a divorce. It was erasure. And that kind of pain doesn't end in court. It echoes through decades. When Tom Cruise filed for divorce, Nicole was 10 years into their marriage and just 11 weeks pregnant. Within a few days, that pregnancy ended in miscarriage, an event she almost never speaks about. The timing, brutal. The heartbreak, total. To this day, no one really knows why Tom filed when he did. The official statement cited irreconcilable differences, but sources later told the Daily Mail that it was a decision influenced by the church. Even more chilling, Nicole didn't even see it coming. One friend claimed she received the news from her publicist, not Tom himself. And then came the rumors. Some said Tom felt she was drifting from Scientology. Others said Nicole wanted another child through adoption, which the church reportedly opposed. But the most persistent whispers came from inside the church itself. They didn't want Tom married to someone who wasn't one of them. By the time the papers were signed, Tom had full custody of Connor and Isabella, and Nicole was left emotionally shattered, yet eerily calm. In a later interview, she said, "I thought we'd be together forever. It wasn't meant to be. I was reeling." The woman who once defined Hollywood perfection was now redefining what it meant to start over, alone. Years later, when a journalist asked Nicole what she felt when she finalized her divorce, she paused, then laughed. Her answer went viral long before social media existed. "I can wear heels again." 6 words, part humor, part heartbreak, part liberation. It wasn't about height. It was about freedom. Tom Cruise famously stood at 5 feet 7 inches. Nicole, in heels, nearly 6 feet. But what those words really said was, "I can finally stand tall again." It became a feminist anthem before that word was fashionable. Tabloids spun it as shade. Fans saw it as survival. For Nicole, it was a declaration that she'd reclaimed her life and her voice. Those 6 words captured everything she couldn't say in interviews, courtroom documents, or paparazzi photos. They said, "I'm done being the perfect wife." They said, "I'm free." From that point forward, Nicole Kidman stopped playing Hollywood's leading lady and started becoming her own director. She won an Oscar for The Hours in 2003. She rebuilt her career with films like Moulin Rouge and Big Little Lies. And when she finally found love again with Keith Urban, it was on her terms. But the ghost of her marriage to Tom never really left her story. It became the quiet engine of her evolution. Nicole never threw public shade, never did tell-all interviews, and never cashed in on her pain. Her revenge was subtle, silent, strategic, and spectacular. While Tom Cruise was busy saving the world on screen, Nicole was saving herself in silence. She buried herself in work, The Hours, Cold Mountain, Dogville, films that earned her critical acclaim and awards. In 2003, when she walked onto the Oscars stage to accept Best Actress, she didn't thank Tom. She didn't even mention him. But her smile said it all. That was the night she reclaimed her identity, not as Mrs. Tom Cruise, but as Nicole Kidman, the woman who endured, rebuilt, and rose higher than ever. And in one of Hollywood's most poetic twists, it was Tom who reportedly reached out later, trying to make peace. But by then, Nicole was already long gone, happily remarried, an Oscar winner, a mother again, and in control of her story. Even her career trajectory told the tale. Tom's films became more formulaic, blockbuster-driven, but Nicole, she became a producer, taking creative risks in Big Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers. It was like she spent years quietly whispering, "I don't need to destroy you to prove I've survived you." And that kind of revenge, it's worth more than any settlement or headline. When Nicole Kidman walked away from Tom Cruise, she didn't just end a marriage, she shattered a Hollywood myth. Before her, celebrity wife meant arm candy. After her, it meant independence. She became one of the first A-list women to show that you could be vulnerable and powerful, that you could lose everything, your marriage, your children, your peace, and still come out shining like gold. And today, her story feels more relevant than ever. Younger audiences see Nicole's journey and understand something deeper. Success isn't always about fame. Sometimes it's about reclaiming your narrative. That's why when people talk about Nicole Kidman now, they don't say Tom Cruise's ex-wife. They say Academy Award winner, producer, icon. And ironically, her divorce, the thing meant to break her, became the turning point that built her empire. Sometimes heartbreak isn't the end of your story, she once said. It's the rewrite. More than 20 years later, Tom Cruise is still chasing cinematic glory, while Nicole Kidman has mastered the quiet art of legacy. He exists in spectacle. She thrives in depth. And if you look closely, every red carpet photo, every confident smile, every award speech carries the same unspoken message. She survived Hollywood's most controlling man and came out stronger, softer, and freer. So when fans look back on their so-called perfect marriage, it's no longer the fairy tale people thought it was. It's a cautionary tale and a masterclass in female resilience. This is Velvet Gossip, where Hollywood's brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. Tell us below, do you think Nicole truly forgave Tom? Or did she simply outgrow him? Because in the end, as Nicole herself proved, sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting free.